everybody. This is Kelly with Two Broads Talking Politics. And today I'm here for a special Monday episode with Holly Figueroa O'Reilly. Hello, Holly.
Hi.
So I'm going to read from your Twitter bio here. It says you were a National March for Truth co-organizer, the founder of Blue Wave Crowdsource Strategies and candidate of the day, Grammy-losing songwriter, I love that, always laughing, and that you have 5 kids and no one can scare you.
It's true. Well, especially that last part. It's double true.
I can't imagine 5 kids. My 2 kids are overwhelming. So
Yeah. Well, they're all older now, in college and high school, and so it's not as hectic as it was when they were younger, but it's still, they always need their mom.
all right, so we are going to talk some about Blue Wave Crowdsource Strategies and candidate of the day. But maybe we could just start a little bit with who you are and how you got involved in political activism.
Well, that's a funny story. Not really. Maybe it's just funny to me. I had a Twitter account. I started it in 2012. It was under, and it still is, under the handle Ayn Rand, Paul, Ryan, which is 3 objectivist libertarian names smooshed into one. And I thought it was humorous, and I never thought that it would go anywhere. I just thought, I'm just going to screw around. I wasn't anonymous. I didn't have my picture on it. And I had about 1,500 followers until November 8th, 2016. Right after the election, the day after the election, I didn't get sad. I didn't cry when it was all happening on election night. I just looked at my TV and I said, well, there's going to be a change around here. And I stopped being anonymous and I started being very vocal and extremely anti-Trump. And I just started trolling him and replying to everything he said. And eventually my account got verified and it started picking up followers, and people, I guess, some of the things that I said resonated with them, especially women. I bet, if I had to guess, probably have 75% of my followers are women. And that makes sense because, I'm a pretty outspoken feminist. After the election and after the shock wore off, I was in a group of people in a Twitter DM group that started talking about March for Truth. Right after Trump decided to fire Comey, and we all thought, this is going down. We said, maybe we should start this march because we need people to know it's happening, because the Russia probe wasn't picking up because there was no Mueller yet. And we just said, this has to be something that everyone should know about. We need transparency in government. We need our elected officials to be honest with us, and Trump is not. And we need people to be held accountable. And it was right before the march, which was in June of 2017, that Mueller was appointed. And then after the march, things really started picking up because Trump blocked me on Twitter.
Which is something the president should be going around doing, sure.
I don't know. I mean, I'm like a gnat, I assumed that I was just kind of buzzing around his head, or not even on the radar, but just kind of, poking at him like a gnat. I'm nothing. I am no one. And he blocked me for telling him that the Pope looked at him funny. So after that, I just said, fuck this. At first I thought, this can't be happening. This is hilarious. And like within moments, I thought, and I got online and I saw all of these other people had been blocked, especially blue checks. Verified people have been blocked, dozens of them. And I thought, oh no, this is the beginning of something. And this is not good. So then I was contacted by the Knight Institute, the First Amendment Institute, and I'm probably getting their name wrong. I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. And they asked if I wanted to be on a lawsuit that they were filing. And I said, hells yes, I do. So that's where we are now with that. So that's how I got involved. That's a really long-winded answer for why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because Trump, that's why.
And it's not unusual. That is a story that we've heard so many times on this podcast is not the Trump blocking, but the everything changed in November of 2016.
It was instantaneous, and my husband knew it, and my kids knew it, and they were all like, "Oh, she's mad now. Look out." Before then, I was just kind of like, "Ooh, Trump, what a jerk." And then I just got mad because nobody thought he would win.
Yeah.
I certainly didn't.
Yeah, I did a lot of Facebook posting before November 2016, shouting into the void, but very
Yeah.
little real action prior to that.
Yeah. No, the Facebook posting, I did, with my kids. But then when it turned out that Facebook was part of the problem, really not part of the solution, and at least Twitter's trying to block trolls and bots, mostly bots. I mean, they'll always happen. But, these automated systems or troll farms where people are paid to spread Trump's word, his good word, because it is like that. It's like a religion or like a cult where they feed into the cult by throwing all of these messages and literal fake news at people, not the fake news that I don't like this, therefore it's fake news, the literal fake news.
Yeah. All right, so we're here today. You have 145,000 Twitter followers as I'm looking at your page right now. You have now founded something called Blue Wave Crowdsource Strategies and Candidate of the Day. So let's talk about that. How did that start? How did this idea come to you?
About 4 weeks ago, I was on Twitter scrolling through all of my group DMs. Probably the people who are listening to this know what those are, but in case somebody doesn't, it's a direct message with more than 2 people in it. So even 3 people is a group DM. But these are group DMs with up to 50 people and conversations that happen constantly. And I realized that I was in over 100 of them, and I couldn't see them all. And I couldn't retweet the people that I wanted to, and I couldn't find the candidates that I wanted to. And I certainly couldn't do research and put it anywhere where everyone could access it. And so this idea of crowdsourcing information for multiple people, it was a great one, but it wasn't working on Twitter. And so I started a Slack workspace and just named it Blue Wave Crowdsource Strategies because that's the first thing that came to my mind, and started putting in the candidates that I supported. And it was just like 10 or 15 off the top of my head. And then I asked some people if they wanted to be on the Slack because they were complaining about the same thing. So I said, I know it's hard. It's really difficult to look through all of these Twitter DMs. I started the Slack. If you want the information about the candidates and you want to network over there, let's do that. And so they moved over there. And before you knew it, word got around. And that's just kind of how these things happen. It's the same thing that happened with Crowd Rescue last summer when the hurricanes hit. We did a very similar thing. So that's how that started. And Candidate of the Day was just kind of something that I wanted to highlight a candidate. And I did one about 4 weeks ago, and then I did another one, and then I did another one. I was like, I might as well call this something so I can keep track of them. And I have to be honest, this is all selfish. Initially, it was selfish because I wanted to keep track of the candidates that I wanted to keep track of. And now it's grown into something that is amazing, I think, for a lot of people that, people are really gravitating toward and working for. And we are doing a lot of different things other than just keeping track of candidates. We're keeping track of, who the NRA supports and the candidates that have endorsements from Emily's List and the DCCC. And, DCCC doesn't endorse anybody, but they have prime targets of districts. Mm-hmm. So that's how the Candidate of the Day started, was just me wanting to highlight somebody and calling it something.
And you started with a lot of Texas candidates because of their early primary.
Right.
Which is tomorrow, everybody, if you're in Texas. Make sure you go vote.
That's right.
And so is the idea that the Candidate of the Day will sort of follow the primary calendar?
The Candidate of the Day typically does follow the primary calendar, but I have to be honest, if I'm super excited about a candidate and it's not an early primary, like I live in Washington State and I'm wicked excited about Lisa Brown. And she's challenging Kathy McMorris Rogers, who is, as far as I'm concerned, the worst because people don't know who she is. Like typically you think of Paul Ryan, ooh, he's got to go. And like an Iron Stash is going to kick his ass and he's raised bajillions of dollars. But Kathy McMorris Rogers is insidious in the way that she works inside and worms her way inside a policy. And it's detrimental to this state. It's detrimental to the country. So I want her gone. And I think that Lisa Brown's the one to do it. And so I started promoting her really early and made her candidate of the day, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or something. And I'll just keep pounding away. And the goal is to, as soon as the Texas primaries are over, the second phase is to get people to work on the ground. Online activism is awesome, and it really does move the needle in a lot of different areas. As far as exposure goes and fundraising, you can't beat it for those two things, but it doesn't really deliver votes. So you need to go door to door, and we want to help candidates get volunteers, do that for them in ways that they can't access those volunteers. They are not able sometimes to get to those volunteers that we have access to. So that's the second phase of this. So every time a primary happens, that's our next goal.
That'll be quite a watch party tomorrow for Texas. That's a lot
Yep.
of congressional districts.
It is, and there's so many of them that are flippable and possible, and I think it will be a bellwether for the rest of the nation. I mean, look, it's Texas. Flipping a couple of seats blue is a monumental feat, but we actually have a chance in multiple seats. So, I mean, the primary tomorrow is not for seats, but the primary is if we have more quote unquote justice Democrats winning than establishment Democrats, then you know kind of which way the wind is blowing down there, right? And if we don't, then you know that we need to be a little bit more centrist, maybe in other states. So when I say, bellwether, that's what I mean.
And so the next primary up is my state, Illinois.
Yeah.
And there are some important seats coming up there. Particularly, I think those of us in Chicago are watching the Illinois 6th. That would be a great flip.
Yeah. Kelly Mazeski, yes.
Yes, Peter Roskam's seat. And so all of Chicago, of course, is kind of like, what do we do? We can't do anything on the ground. There's no one to try to elect here. They're already good Democrats. But certainly the Illinois 6th is a place that a lot of people are kind of bussing out to knock on doors and try to get things going. So that's going to be exciting, I think. And then in the Illinois 3rd, the Blue Wave Crowdsource Strategies, along with a number of progressive groups, have endorsed someone other than the incumbent Democrat.
It is the only primary challenger that we have endorsed and the only one that I anticipate we will endorse because we are not in the business of endorsing primary challengers. Like we want Democrats to win. The problem in Illinois 3 with
Dan Lipinski.
Lipinski, thank you, is that he's not at all progressive. He's the most conservative congressman in Washington that I've come across. He's not for women's rights. You can go on and on about him, but I'd rather talk about Marie.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that she could win, that she would do really well in that district. Plus it's a super, super blue district, right?
Yeah.
And her challenger is a literal Nazi. The GOP didn't even put anybody up for that seat. So she's running against Arthur, what's his name, who, hiles every time he turns around. I think she's got a good shot. And that's one of the other reasons that we felt comfortable endorsing her over Lipinski was because, if it was Lipinski against somebody who was giving him a hard time, or if it was in a swing district, I think that we probably wouldn't have rocked the boat on this one. But we did, and we are, and we're behind Marie. So
I have, side note, seen Marie speak in person, and she is fantastic, and she is everything I'd like to see in a congresswoman. So,
well, there you go. Sold.
So if you live in the Illinois 3rd District and you are listening to this, go vote for Marie Newman. So we have very ugly politics in Illinois.
Yeah.
Which might not surprise anybody anywhere. And we have the advantage of most of our ugly politics benefiting Democrats. So we tend to not do as much about it. The gerrymandering benefits the Democrats. I still don't like gerrymandering.